very basic keeping rules. Yes, first of all, we will record the meeting. I hope that's okay with you. So please remember to keep your mic muted during the presentation, but also I encourage you, if you have, at any point, any doubts or question, just feel free to raise your hand or type it in the chat box, and my colleagues will help me, telling me the questions, and so we can interrupt whenever is relevant. And if you're interested in finding partners, well, I have some of your details, but so instead of leaving your detail in the contact box, I say you can write an email to me. My contact details are here, and I will share the slides with everyone after the event, so you'll be able to find my contact easily. The agenda for today, we're going to have a look at the European Innovation Ecosystems Program and the 2022 calls. We're going to analyze a bit what synergies there can be with different Horizon Europe programs, and we'll do a short partner search, or see how we can find partners to apply for these calls. So as I mentioned, European Innovation Ecosystems, or EIE, is a Pillar 3 Horizon Europe program. And I'm the national contact point responsible for EIE, but also the other two Pillar 3 programs at the Malta Council for Science and Technology. So my role is to diffuse the calls, help potential participants understand it better, and support them with preparing the proposal, finding partnerships, and so on. So if you're interested in hearing more about the calls, or interested in applying after this webinar, feel free to reach out to me. That's what I'm here for. Okay, so first, a very let's say bird's eye introduction. You're probably, most of you, familiar with Horizon Europe. Horizon Europe is the main innovation program from the EU. It's about 95 billion euros, and most of it is delivered through the 3 pillars you see in the center, as well as to these 2 programs on the left and the right, European Defence Fund and Euratom. But we're interested today in the 3 pillars, and more specifically within Pillar 3. Pillar 1 is more about supporting excellent science. So this is about research infrastructures, but also about researchers and how they collaborate and how they are trained. So it's more about the human powers and the infrastructure behind the basic science. Then we have Pillar 2, which is grouped in thematic clusters, and these calls for proposals are geared towards solving global challenges and European industrial competitiveness issues. And finally, we have Pillar 3, which is Innovative Europe, and this is really geared to innovation. So we're talking about commercialization of technologies, social acceptance of technologies, and so on. So here we have 3 programs, which I manage here in Malta. So it's the European Innovation Council. This is aimed at SMEs with breakthrough innovation ideas. So it supports them from the basic research up to the commercialization and scale up. Then we have the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, sorry. So this is an initiative which dates from a bit more than a decade. And basically they create knowledge and innovation communities around thematic areas. And the idea as well is to foster an ecosystem where around a theme, which can be, for instance, in Malta, we have 2 of them. We have urban mobility and climate change. And so the idea is to support innovation and innovative services and different stakeholders talking around the different common objectives. And then finally, we have European Innovation Ecosystems. And here we're going to get into it. It's about really improving the effectiveness and connectedness of the different ecosystems in Europe. So I'm going to maybe take a back step and ask why we're interested in innovation ecosystems, why it's relevant. So we used to have a very linear conception of what was innovation? It was something that happened within a company, or maybe, it started at a university where there was research and development, and then, maybe a company got involved and there was, more like designing for consumers, and then solving, scale-up problems and producing. But really, the innovation is not a linear process. It has multiple, really a lot of variants, which can be, the legal and regulatory context, the cultural context, the market around the innovation. And so companies will do not just research and development to innovate, but they will also connect with other actors. They will communicate their work. They will advocate maybe for a more favorable regulatory environment for their innovation, and they will need social capital, human capital, infrastructure, financial resources. They'll need to share knowledge, to meet other people. So it's a lot more messy and a lot more implies a lot more exchange than when we thought innovation was several decades ago. So it's innovation is complex. It's both a noun and a process, but we are capturing the complexity through of these environments, through these programs, because we're trying to shape these ecosystems to become better performing. And the idea is a bit that the ecosystems are somewhat organic, so they evolve, they're diverse, there's synergies, they should adapt to different challenges, and they should be resilient. So it's a lot of new things that we're looking to build in these ecosystems. And another thing that I think is very important is that, in the end, innovation ecosystems are about people. It's about exchanging. And so here, what this is precisely what the EIE program tries to do is to strengthen this innovation ecosystem engagement within ecosystems and between ecosystems. So for an innovation ecosystem to work, we need to have some events where conferences. There needs to be the involvement of media, educational institutions, thought leaders, also government at all levels, civil society or community, private consultants, accelerators, the investment community, but as well customers and innovative companies, as well as startups, partners, and other vendors or suppliers. So it's a very complex relationship between a lot of stakeholders. And the idea here is that it's very important to create communities and to strengthen the link between these communities. First of all, because innovation, productivity, and knowledge creation are increased by linking different disparate networks. The strengthening of weak ties are the most important, because the best links are those that cross communities. They give this sense of crossing a boundary and giving different perspectives on a given problem. And so this all fits in really well to kind of the rationale of why this program was created, is that Europe is a leader in science, but not in innovation. There's a lack of talent, and particularly entrepreneurship. And there's some, significant funds available for financing, but as well a lot of financing gaps, especially for scaling up. And so the idea is to increase this interconnectedness, to strengthen the ecosystems, and to increase the interconnectedness to address these challenges. So this is a map of innovation ecosystems in Europe. We have a good, a good image of well furnished environment. You can see a big concentration in Northern Europe, but we can also see that there's a lot of innovation ecosystems as well in Southern Europe. I'm thinking, this might be as well partly due to let's say a bit cultural issues. Maybe, you know, Spain has regional innovation centers, and that's why it has so many. We can see even that in terms of number of innovation ecosystem, Southern Europe has the most, followed by Western Europe, and then Northern Europe, finally Eastern Europe. But of course, this does not consider maybe, you know, the money they're able to raise or the support they're able to mobilize. But there's, you know, quite a big number of actors. Oh, sorry. So yes, it's dense. It's a dense, let's say, continent in terms of innovation, but they can only reach their full potential if they're better interconnected. Here we can see a map of the global connectedness of innovation ecosystems, and you can see that while, you know, we had a lot of ecosystems in Southern Europe, in terms of numbers, here they barely register because they're not really very well connected to other innovation ecosystems. So the lines represent the connectedness between them, and it's no surprise really. The most dense lines are in the US, and there's strong links from the US, as you can see, to other innovation ecosystems in Europe. But within Europe, the lines are quite thin. So really, this was a political, let's say, an analysis by the Commission that there needs to be a stronger interconnectedness in Europe, and particularly because in Europe there's cultural factors that make it much harder to strengthen the links than, for instance, in the US. So we have, you know, different languages and cultures vary, you know, quite greatly within Europe, whereas you know, from New York to San Francisco, you know, it might be a different culture, but they speak the same language, have the same country, and so it makes it much easier for the collaboration to grow and the connectedness to be strengthened between these ecosystems. So the idea is to strengthen the links within Europe and strengthen the ecosystems themselves for a number of objectives. So the idea is to create more connected and efficient, so this is important, innovation ecosystems. So this needs to support the scaling of companies and encourage innovation, as well as stimulating cooperation among national, regional, and local innovation stakeholders. Build interconnected, inclusive, and this as well another important word, especially for the upcoming calls, inclusive innovation ecosystems across Europe, and to reinforce network connectivity within and between innovation ecosystems. So the idea is to draw on existing strength of national, regional, and local ecosystems, and pulling in new, less well-represented actors or territories to undertake collective actions. Here, something that's quite interesting about the calls for proposals under EIE is that they require stakeholders from moderate or modest innovation countries to team up with strong innovator countries, stakeholders in strong innovator or innovation leader countries. So the idea is that there's an exchange between agencies or companies, universities or whatever based in the high innovation countries like Belgium or France, that they share as well their experience, their resources with more modest innovators. And in fact, another interesting something else very interesting from the program is that widening countries stakeholders can join ongoing approved projects. So if a project is already funded and you somehow connect with them and they're willing to include you as a partner in these initiatives, you can do so in an existing in an existing proposal, let's say project, if you're from a widening countries, and Malta is one of them. So that's a great opportunity. And so the idea to support these ecosystems kind of has three corollaries. One is, open innovation. So, that innovation tools, infrastructure, and the talent are more open. The idea is to create better framework conditions, a better environment for companies to grow, and synergies between different stakeholders, be it different innovation ecosystems or an innovation ecosystem and service providers, education providers, and so on. And also, the idea is that this is not a standalone action, but it also strongly has synergies with other Pillar 3 initiatives via networks, via EIT, European Institute for Technology, where participants can access coaching, mentoring, advisory services, and knowledge partners. I'll be talking a little bit more about the synergy opportunities further ahead. Okay, so European Innovation Ecosystems is a program that's built in let's say around 3 destinations. The work program currently covers 2021 and 2022. So we don't have the timing for the calls next year, but I will be presenting the 4 upcoming calls for this year. So we have the Connect destination, which is about building interconnected, inclusive innovation ecosystems across Europe by drawing on the existing strength of national, regional, and local ecosystems. There's 2 calls for proposals on this. Then Scale Up, it's about reinforcing network connectivity within and between innovation ecosystems. And finally, InnovSMEs is direct grant support to innovative SMEs to increase their research and innovation. InnovSMEs, unfortunately, does not have a call for proposals this year, but we're waiting that the 2023 work program, there will be an open call. So it's basically, this year is going to be Connect and Scale Up. So Connect is a little bit more about building something new, and Scale Up is a bit more about reinforcing connectivity. I don't know if anyone has any questions so far. Just do feel free to to pop your questions in the chat or raise your hands. Thank you. Okay. Destination Connect, first call for proposals is called towards more inclusive networks and initiatives in European innovation ecosystems. The idea is to increase inclusiveness by enlarging the participation of more diverse innovation actors and broaden their participation. So here we're talking about including, so usually innovation ecosystems will consist of innovation agencies, banks, investment funds, maybe a university, but the idea would be to include new actors. So one of the ideas could be including university students that are not traditionally included in entrepreneurial activities to have some forum to participate or to pitch their ideas. This could be, for instance, in terms of social innovation, supporting social innovation ideas from youth. And then the other objective is to reduce the innovation divide in Europe and reinforce the innovation aspect of the European research areas, the areas of inclusiveness and connectivity, improving the innovation capacities of member states. Okay, and here is a lot about widening countries / modest innovators. The idea is that implementing the proposed plan, the proposal should result in better innovative capacities in the modest innovator country. So there needs to be, some sort of support that goes towards the modest innovator country stakeholders. The targets here are national authorities, public authorities at all levels, private organizations, publicly owned companies, professional associations, clusters, accelerators, innovation hubs, incubators, technology parks, and any other stakeholders that support the deployment of innovation. The call for proposal closes on 26th of April. So there's still some time, and it's a single stage application. What the requirements are that, as I mentioned, that there's stakeholders from innovation leaders or strong innovator leader countries, or moderate and modest innovator countries. So you have to build a partnership across countries now to apply for any of these calls. Oh, sorry, my my mouse just went. Okay, sorry. Okay. Yes, so in this call, there's 4 million euros available for funding, and each winning proposal will be awarded up to 500,000. So we expect there will be about 8 funded proposals. Okay, and so basically here it's about helping more actors access innovation ecosystem services on one hand, and also involving different actors like foundations, civil society organizations, or citizens to, for instance, ensure that the innovation match the needs and the needs, values, and expectations of society. So here is this social inclusiveness aspect that allows for innovation ecosystems to support in a better way companies, and as well with a different perspective, which is the civil society perspective. Then we have a second Connect call. It also closes on the 26th of April, which is, still leaves a good time to apply. And here is integration of social innovation actors in innovation ecosystems. It's about their active participation by ensuring interlinking and connections with all actors, including SMEs and startups, accelerators and business incubators, industry investors, and the public sector. Another objective is to widen the access to alternative means of financing social innovations, achieved by promoting its impact or mobilizing a broad range of partners. So this is not, it's not a secret. Social innovation is notoriously, hard to fund. Incubators usually are looking for tech-based developments and so on. So the idea here is to devise new ways of how to integrate this social innovation aspect into innovation ecosystems. Here, the call specifies that they're looking for tested innovation models with potential scaling up and replicability that are available for widespread use, possibly through policy actions. So what does this mean? That there's no need to reinvent the wheel, but rather there's a need to do some research and propose a plan to replicate innovation models that have integrated this social innovation aspect in an ecosystem, and see how these models can be adapted and implemented in the target countries. So here, of course, the presence of social innovation actors or social entrepreneurs is extremely important, essential even. Could be also foundations and philanthropy societies, universities, publicly owned companies, and then, as usual, the private sector and industry. The budget is slightly smaller here, 3 million total budget, but we have the same budget per proposal, per winning proposal of 0.5 million. So about 6 proposals are expected to be funded here. Okay, then our second destination, scale up. This call for proposal is about expanding entrepreneurial ecosystems. So we want to see improved flows of innovation, resources between innovation ecosystems at various levels of development. So it's a lot about the open aspect that I spoke, but also about the quality of human resources. So improving the quality of entrepreneurial education and local talents equipped with skills to support business acceleration and digitalization, better entrepreneurial activity in developing innovation ecosystems and its scale up across Europe and internationally. So here as well, you'll notice scale up is it's a word that comes across quite a bit in these proposals. So as well, if you're considering preparing a proposal, I suggest you keep this in mind, that the idea is to to replicate beyond the direct scope of one country, but at least in several. And so there's an objective of youth employability and particularly self-employability in this call, and raise awareness of diverse business cultures and opportunities across sectors and or geographies. So here we have the same requirement of mixing moderate or modest innovation regions and strong innovators. And there's another requirement in this call is, of course, because it's about entrepreneurial skills, the consortium must consist at least of one educational institutions and at least one private sector representative. So of course, as well, the presence of the private sector as well is usually quite important in these calls, because they're about entrepreneurship, innovation, and so the commercial aspect is never far. The kind of activities that this could fund could be, for instance, the implementation of a new educational program in entrepreneurship, and for instance, engaging business experts to implement it, to deliver it to the students, to engage students or graduates from different disciplines and departments into company structures. And here, maybe something I mentioned before, not all university academic departments have a participation in innovation ecosystems. I'm thinking particularly the social sciences, no? And so here as well, there's some synergies or potentially overlapping themes with the Connect calls. And so, for instance, engaging students from philosophy or let's study human rights into innovation ecosystems. This is the sort of action that could be conceived, because it's giving this opportunity to have entrepreneurship skills to a population that was traditionally excluded from it. And of course, in all these calls, any consideration given to the gender aspect is strongly appreciated, of course, because that's inclusiveness should also be about has also a strong gender component. Okay, another type of activities, for instance, here could be the co-ideation challenges, where students can propose innovative solution in business partners areas, and the business partners, together with an incubator or so on, they can support the students into developing their project or idea. So there's quite a bit of leeway. It's quite interesting, and I think this could have quite some possibilities here in Malta. And so here, and for this call, but this is true, I think, in general for all the EIE calls, the idea is to as well liaise with the local innovation stakeholders, the main innovation stakeholders, which might have an interest in implement these programs, because the idea, if you're, for instance, if you're a company and you want, are interested in this action, I think, it would be highly relevant that, one of the local innovation agencies like Malta Enterprise, not necessarily participates, but, at least is aware of this project, and that if there's lessons learned and so on, or resources that can be made available to a wider network, they can access. So if you're thinking of applying as well, don't hesitate to reach out to the key stakeholders. We'll go a bit more on the partner search a bit further in the presentation. Okay, this is the last. Oh, sorry, I forgot. This one calls on the 10th of May, 2022. So there's a bit more time. And these scale-up calls are have a bit larger budget. They will have a 5 million total budget for approximately 5 proposals. So they're expecting a budget of up to 1 million per proposal. Okay, and then finally, this is the last call. It's called Expanding Investment Ecosystems. So here, the idea is to strengthen and expand cooperation to support the next generation of companies. As I mentioned, this is one of the big challenges Europe is this startup or scale-up funding. And so the idea is that there's some lost opportunities because there's not enough interconnectedness in Europe, and that better interconnected ecosystems would allow entrepreneurs to access opportunities in a more timely manner, and of course that would be very beneficial to Europe. So the idea is that the proposal sets out a credible pathway to contributing to elevating the scalability potential of business, particularly through enhanced network connectivity, strengthen and expanded cooperation between innovation ecosystems worldwide, and more inclusive and gender equal innovation ecosystems. So as I had mentioned, the gender aspect is very important. If you have an idea or a program or a proposal to to expand the investment for women entrepreneurs that otherwise are not getting investments, then indeed you can be effectively expanding investment ecosystems. Okay, and here the target groups are social innovation actors or social entrepreneurs, SMEs, startups, accelerators and business incubators, investors, industries, foundations and philanthropy societies, universities, and publicly owned companies. You have a bit more time for this one. The call opens in June and closes on October 4th, and as well as a single stage application. Here we have the typical requirements. We need to mix and match, let's say, the strong innovators with the moderate innovators. And the idea is that the project directly contributes to increased access to capital investments, particularly in less connected innovation ecosystems. And therefore, enhancing the openness, their competitiveness, and their global potential. And to basically increase venture investments into scale-ups and startups. So the idea is to demonstrate a very clear impact on the bottom line, and the bottom line is what companies get funded. So these are the calls so far. I don't know if anyone would like to come in or have any questions. Be happy to take them now, because then I will speak just a bit about the possible synergies with other Horizon Europe programs and a bit about the partner search. I will assume I'm being extremely clear. The information is fantastic and you don't have any doubts, but do feel free to reach out to me, by email afterwards. Okay, in terms of synergies with other EU programs, so first of all, here on the left, you can see the European Innovation Scoreboard. index. There's a link for it here on the slide, and this is to help you understand, where if you're looking for partners, where should they be based. It might be a bit small, but basically we want for moderate innovator countries, and you see Malta is here in yellow, need to team up with a green or dark green country, which are strong innovator or innovation leaders. Just to give you, an idea. So among these, we have Switzerland and UK, but Switzerland and UK are at the moment having a bit of an issue because of their status as associated countries. So their participation to Horizon Europe is limited for the moment. So, not the best places to look for partners just now. Although hopefully, these things will be resolved quite soon, we hope. And then we have, well, I'm sure you'll have an idea. It's basically the Nordic countries. We have Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, Luxembourg, Austria, Norway, Estonia, Iceland, France, Israel, and Ireland. So basically, you need a partner. You would need a partner if you're from Malta or other modest innovator countries. You need a partner from one of these countries to apply. There's a number of synergies with existing programs. So first of all, the idea is that there is a synergy with the entire Pillar 3. Pillar 3 from Horizon Europe. And indeed there is one of the main, well, I think one of the most interesting synergies is with the European Institute for Technology Regional Innovation Scheme and Knowledge and Innovation Communities. And so the EIT risks and kicks. Why is there a lot of synergies? Because effectively these knowledge and innovation communities are effectively local ecosystems where different stakeholders from with different profiles, so higher education and private companies and public bodies, they get together and work on a specific theme. And as I mentioned, we have two in Malta. We have the EIT KIC Urban Mobility and EIT KIC Climate Change. And also because the whole point of the Regional Innovation Scheme program is to support modest and moderate innovator countries into linking with more advanced innovators to improve their capacities. So through this program, we do have some clues as to, okay, if I'm interested in in the maybe in the specific thematic innovation funding ecosystems, you could identify a KIC, reach out to them and see the possibilities for partnerships. So I think it's because of the mission itself, which is overlapping, and also because of the fact that they are creating innovation ecosystems as well and programs. I think there's quite an interesting overlap, possible synergies here with EIE. Another interesting initiative, which could be as well could overlap with EIE, are Eureka Network initiatives. Put a link to the website here as well. There's there's a support for clusters. So clusters are usually thematic, and they tend to link to smart specialization areas. And here I'll say a bit more about smart specialization areas in a minute. And so here as well, it's a good way of identifying thematic clusters, which could have participants which could be interested in participating in this initiative. And then I wanted to, well, I'll finish with the Europe Enterprise Network, which is it's the biggest business network in Europe. And basically, its aim is to support small businesses to make the most of the European marketplace. And of course, there's a strong innovation component. But most of all, it's also a network. So here, it's a good way to try and identify interested stakeholders, potential partners to apply for these calls for proposals. And yes, finally, I wanted to say, of course, this initiative is very much in line with EU policies and so on. And so the idea is that it also aligns with smart specialization strategies in different countries. Okay, so very briefly, I want to show you now the calls for proposals, and unfortunately, it seems the funding portal has a small issue, which I'll show you right away. But I just want you to show. I'll include the links, but I want to show you how to find these calls for proposals easily. So you will look for the funding portal and enter the funding and tenders portal here from the
Martin, sorry to disturb you, but I think there is a question from someone from the audience.
Oh, yes, of course.
Please go ahead and open your mic, maybe.
Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes.
Okay, so my name is Joe Woods, and I'm representing, together with my colleague, the Malta Innovation Forum. I own a small company in the private sector that deals with creative thinking, invention, and innovation. First of all, thank you for your presentation. We have, for the last 2 years, we've been considering and talking at the MIF, the Malta Innovation Forum, regarding a local innovation ecosystem. Because to my mind, and this is my mind only, I believe that this does exist in Malta. There are lots of good nodes, lots of activities going, in innovation, but it looks like it's an island of 1,000 islands. They lack connectivity, they lack synergy, they lack pipelines, they lack, most of everything to make it an innovation ecosystem. Having said that, because of our size, we could have a competitive advantage. I mean, who would you expect to do a national innovation ecosystem first? Germany, 90 million, 80 million people, or Malta, 500,000 people? If we're really smart and agile in facing the challenge of innovation. So my question to you is this: from what you know, and you seem to know quite a bit about, the innovation sector of Horizon 2020, if we had to come out with an idea of how to develop a national innovation ecosystem, but through a capacity building methodology, we have also got a methodology which we brought in from abroad. We didn't develop it ourselves, but adapted to the concept of innovation. And in this consortium, we will have highly advanced countries like Sweden or Finland, okay, to develop this new national innovation ecosystem for small countries and not so small countries. And this we will hope to transfer. And when you showed that graphic about the connectivity, I was impressed how there is nothing going in Africa except one strand. And I believe that there is a big market for innovation. It is huge. And as yet, we are with the back to Africa. We're looking the other side. And as you know, you can't pick apples with your back to the tree. But anyway, where would you position what I'm trying to tell you, the proposal? Has it got any potential?
Thank you. Thank you for your question. And yes, I mean, I have to, look a bit more careful at the proposal, but I think one of the connect calls maybe would be relevant. or the investment ecosystems call, maybe. We'd have to discuss, but I think the idea is it ticks the boxes. So it would be within a collaboration with the highly innovative countries. I would insist on the exchange with this country, and as well, if the consortium can be wider, that can be as well welcome. For instance, having as well another, I'm just throwing this idea, like another innovation agency from another small island state and a fourth country. I think that would be maybe a stronger, but I think the basic idea is good. I think the link with Africa is very interesting. I'm wondering if it could all fit in the same proposal, but definitely one of the aims of the call is to link the ecosystems from a global perspective as well. So I think that would, of course, be very much be very much of interest. I'm just wondering, not sure if it would be as part of the same proposal, because there's a coherence and so on. So I'd like to hear more about what you have to put forward. But my first reaction is yes. The idea seems to fit the call, because, as you said, in Malta, there's a lot of stakeholders, there's a lot of initiatives, but is there an ecosystem as such? I think here the connectivity for sure can be improved because the elements are already there. So absolutely, I think it would be a good proposal, and be happy to liaise with you afterwards. I see Bridget Tanti has a question. Yes, for widening countries, how can widening countries join existing projects? Basically, you would have to contact through the consortium leader. So we have to see which initiatives have been funded. I believe only. I'm not sure if last year's calls were funded. I think I know the October ones are still waiting for the reply. We can check if there were other calls prior calls that were funded, but we can help identify. And once if the consortium coordinator agrees and members agree, then I'm not exactly sure how the process is, but we'd accompany you all the way. Regarding the match funding criteria, it's 30% 30% match, I think. But
if I may add, Martin, just to the
yes.
To the reply for Bridget, we'll be eventually receiving a list of funded projects which we will not have widening partners in them, and this we'll be receiving from the Commission. In the meantime, we'll be opening a call for expression of interest for Maltese entities that want to benefit from this hop-on scheme, it's called. Yes, we'll try to get them engaged and involved in these already funded projects once we receive the list from the Commission as well. This will be only for Pillar 2, though. It's important. Pillar 1 and Pillar 3 are not included, so projects funded under Pillar 2.
Okay, but I mean, we'll get the same list for Pillar 3 and just express your interest, and we'll be in touch about that. That's great. Thank you for your interest. Okay. Yes, I was showing you just very quickly funding and tenders portal. Here I will search for EIE. And I have all the forthcoming open and closed calls last year. Let me see just, okay, yes, we have a couple of calls, Brigitte, that will have been funded by now. So I'll reach out and see how we can try and activate this hop-on facility. Okay, and so here we have the forthcoming calls. These are this is another one I didn't speak about actually. because it's not so relevant for the stakeholders, but it's about innovation procurement. So it's about how government purchases, how government purchase can support innovative companies. So it's as well an interesting call, but I'm not sure it's relevant for most of you. But if you're interested, of course, in examining it, we can do so on a one-to-one basis. Okay, and so here are the calls for proposals, and so here, unfortunately, there's a function of the system which is super useful that it's broken right now, but it should be fixed shortly. Here you'll have the topic description, so you can look with a bit more detail, what type of outcomes do they want, what type of activities should happen. So, you know, we can go to quite specific activities like what I was mentioning here in entrepreneurial ecosystems. It's about creating, you know, study programs, activity programs of at least 2 years, so that you know, the students get these entrepreneurial skill sets and so on. You get also a bit more general context about the what they call the destination, so the theme, let's say the broad theme of the call, and about the eligibility conditions. These are fairly straightforward. You know, you can always reach out to us if you have any doubts. And then finally, here, and this is the feature that's not working so well. So here I see 92 partners looking to collaborate, but unfortunately, when I get in, I only find 10. But still, I encourage you to come in if you're interested in a specific call. And you know, of course, you can reach out to any of these people because they register their interest. You can contact them. They will ask you for a profile, but you can contact them. And of course, you would have to focus on high innovator, not necessarily only, but high innovation countries are of course most relevant to you, because if you're from a modest innovator country, you need a strong innovator. So for instance, here I've already reached out to them, Nordic Horizon AB. They're happy that anyone contacts them here at their email. And so they bring, for instance, here they bring people together on innovation projects. So they might have you know, links to Norwegian or Swedish stakeholders who want to lead on one of these proposals. What we'll do as well, I'll send the slides, as I mentioned, for after this. After this, I'll send it in PDF, so you have all the links and my details. And if you're interested in doing a partner search, we can assist with that. So do write me an email, and I will send you a form. And in this form, you'll fill in some data, and we can share it around to see how which partner is suitable for you. Okay. That's all from my side. I've left you here the funding and tenders portal link, the work program, and the website. This is a very interesting program in the sense I think the intervention was very pertinent, because as I said, Malta has really a lot of initiatives, but lacks that connectivity. So really, it's like nearly tailor-made for what Malta needs to do with its innovation ecosystem. So we're hoping that you'll get in touch, and we can work on a proposal together. I don't know if anyone has any other questions. Okay, well, thanks everyone. We'll post this the webinar on our YouTube channel. So you can watch it or share it. We're just doing a small poll, so if you could quickly answer them before you exit the meeting, that would be fantastic. And since you nearly earned half an hour of your life, I think I overestimated the time of the webinar. It's a fairly straightforward call in a way. They're not particularly complex. So I think it's and there's quite a number of opportunities that will be funded. The budgets are not so high, but I think the activities that can be implemented are very interesting, and they have a real opportunity to create these links that we saw are so important for innovation ecosystems.